Hello, and welcome to today's episode of Amesie's Corner. What I have to show you here is this 1968 AMC AMX. I call it the Javelin, but this is the AMX. They didn't necessarily call this the Javelin. This is one of the original 390 cars. It's got the 390 badging on it. The 390 is probably one of the stoutest engines ever to be used in drag racing, or one of the stoutest production engines to ever be used in drag racing. To this day, some of the NHRA cars run this motor. I'm not sure the class that you would call it. I'm not really into the drag racing anymore, and everything's different from when I used to be. That's what this car is. This is pretty much built to be, as it is, a quarter-mile car. It's literally meant to go a quarter mile as fast as it can, and that's about it. When we had this car last year, it was built by a racing guy. We weren't able to get a hold of him. I don't know why. Maybe someone fell ill. Who knows? So we had no idea what this car had for a cam, for a compression ratio, for anything. So we just kind of put it together as best we can. Probably the biggest issue we didn't do last year is we didn't put an ignition module with a rev limiter in it. So the guy who owns the car picked it up from us, running great, running real powerful, and he was gone for maybe a minute and a half. I think he missed the third, fourth shift, or maybe the first, second shift. Probably the first, second shift. And he ended up pulling a couple rocket studs right out of one of the heads, which we repaired and got it running again. But being a drag car, it makes a lot of power, it makes a lot of heat, and it really can't get rid of the heat, which is probably its biggest issue. It's just you can't get the heat, and it overheats. And so it's here this year. I'm gonna be pulling the motor out of it. We'll talk about that in a second. Let's take a look at the interior of this. I think this is a really well laid out interior from a 68 car. I really like the dash things. This is something we see a lot nowadays. The vents that work like that. Yep. What's old is new again. And then you know it's a real AMX. It's numbered. What's that number? Focus 4,513. I'm not sure what the total build, but if someone wants to make the comment. Neat wood panels. Seats are pretty good, about what you'd expect. Now this is a two-seat car. This was kind of considered the poor man's Corvette. That was kind of the intention of this particular car, was to go after the Corvette. And it actually has a little tack, big speedo, temp and fuel. Well, that temp gauge is always way up somewhere, bumping off the fuel gauge. How about we something a little different? This thing sounds really nice. We'll give it a quick start. We'll give it a couple of revs, and then we'll go look at the motor. Sounds nice, doesn't it? Now there's the 390. The Edelbrock intake on it. I don't remember what size carb. It was just kind of something we threw on. It had a really big Holly on there. And I think this might be like a 650 or a 750 CFM Edelbrock. We chose this carburetor in part because it's really available to us, and they're pretty easy to tune. Yeah. Now, like I was saying, this motor makes a lot of horsepower. I'm going to guess somewhere in the high 400 horsepower, maybe mid 400. It hasn't been on a track since I've known the car. It hasn't been on the strip, I should say. So I can't tell you what it's pulled, or what it can pull in this trim. I'm going to say 13s all day with this setup, at least 13s. Now, this thing is powerful. It's a lot of motor for this car, but the gentleman that owns this car doesn't really want to drag it. He wants to cruise to the beach. You know, he wants to go get slices of beach pizza. He wants to cruise around and be seen. He wants to be able to stop at a stoplight and not overheat and not make a ton of noise. So I'm going to be pulling this motor out, and we're actually going to detune it. We're probably going to put some aluminum heads on. One of the issues we had last year with this motor, we put the different intake on it, and we found that the heads have been shaved and the block has been decked to raise the compression ratio. Now that goes with not having no idea what was done with this, so we're going to kind of take it apart, see what we have, and we're going to try to lower the compression so we can run pump gas and not ping it to death. So this is a project to keep your eyes on. We'll probably do something like I did with the Jaguar, where I'll pull it apart, have the motor apart, show you what it looks like, and maybe we'll get this thing. Maybe I can convince the owner to put this on a drag strip. We'll do an Amesie's corner from a drag strip and see what it pulls. So this video is getting a little long, so I'm going to finish it there by saying this one will take you right into the cabbage. So keep it out of the cabbage.